Hello Miss Jess and friends, my name is Daniel Christian Wong from 11 Science 2, absent number 6, Regina Pacis, Jakarta High School. So today I am going to present the PowerPoint that I have made about narrative text. But before we continue, I will tell you what we will discuss in this video. So today I will discuss the definition and introduction of a narrative text, social function of narrative text, language features of narrative text, structure of narrative text, example and analysis of narrative text, and lastly, moral lesson from narrative text example. So let's get started. Narrative text is an imaginative story to entertain and attract readers by presenting a story or event that has problem that causes conflict, and at the end of the story there is a resolution that can be happy ending or even a sad ending. There are 5 types of narrative text, namely descriptive narrative, viewpoint narrative, historical narrative, linear narrative, and non-linear narrative. Descriptive narrative is a narration that conveys time and place, tone, and mood. After that, viewpoint narrative is narration that filters event through characters' eyes. And then, historical narrative. This is a narration that shows sequence of past event, cause, and effect. After that, linear narrative. Linear narrative is a narration that presents events in the order they occurred. And lastly, non-linear narrative. This is a narration that shows events out of sequence. For example, 2020, then now. Narrative text is one of 13 types of English text born from narration, as well as recount text, anecdote text, and spoof text. Perhaps you need to know that narrative text in the writing and composition lecture is usually called narration, which is one of type of text in a literary language. Usually, the narrative text contains good fiction stories, non-fiction stories, animal stories or fable, folk tales, fairy tales, myths, legends, etc. In a simple word, everything about story is included in narrative text. The social function of narrative text is to entertain or to amuse and to deal with actual or vicarious experience in different ways. Narrative text also usually gives a moral message that we can follow, so that we can be more positive. Narrative deals with problematic events which lead to a crisis or turning point of some kind, which in turn finds a resolution. Now we will look at the language features of narrative text. A narrative text focuses on specific participants. There are many action verbs, verbal and mental processes such as run, walk, jump, talk, sing, etc. Direct and indirect speeches are often used. It usually uses simple past tense. There are sometimes some dialogue and the tense can change. Descriptive language is used to create listeners' or readers' imagination. The 4 most common forms of descriptive language are adjective, adverbs, similes, and metaphors. Temporal conjunctions are also used, like as, after, as soon as, at first, at once, before, finally, just, meanwhile, next, now, since, until, when, whenever, while, etc. Narrative text use adverbs and adverbial phrases. For example, quickly, slowly, yesterday, last week, here, there, today, daily, never, rarely, extremely, annually, etc. Now we get into the structure of narrative text. Number 1. Orientation. Orientation is the opening paragraph where the characters of the story are introduced. The opening paragraph tells about character, time, and place. Number 2. Complication. Complication is the paragraph where the problems in the story are developed. In this part, the reader usually begins to know who the antagonists and protagonists are. Number 3. Resolution. Resolution is the paragraph where the problems in the story are solved, or it could be told as an ending. It could be a happy ending or sad ending. Lastly, reorientation or coda. Reorientation or coda is a closing remark to the story which contains lesson from the story and or conclusion of the end of the story, though this part is optional. Now we will look into the example of narrative text titled Cinderella. Once upon a time there lived a girl with her stepmother and two stepsisters. The girl's name was Cinderella. Her father was a trader, so he seldom went home. Cinderella was having a stepmother to accompany her if her father went to trade. Cinderella's stepmother had a bad character. Every day she asked Cinderella to clean the house, wash her clothes, and so on. Her two stepsisters has bad character too. They were very lazy. They always asked Cinderella to meet their duty. This paragraph is orientation of the story. This video use simple past tense. And in here, once upon a time is temporal conjunction. One day, the king invited all girls in his kingdom to a follow dancing party. Cinderella's stepsisters were very happy. Cinderella was happy too, but her mother won't give her permission. Cinderella was very sad because she can't come to the party. She cried in her bedroom. This paragraph is the complication of the story. Suddenly, a fairy godmother came to Cinderella. She helped Cinderella. She gave Cinderella a beautiful gown and a pair of glass shoes. But Cinderella must go home before the time showing 12 o'clock. Cinderella was dancing with a prince, but the times almost show in 12. Cinderella was nervous. Then Cinderella runs away. But on stage, one of her glass shoes was lost. The prince searched for who has the shoes. Finally, he found Cinderella, and finally, he married Cinderella. This paragraph is called resolution. From the Cinderella narrative text, we can learn that number 1. Having courage and believing in oneself even in time of adversity, and how good people are rewarded for their goodness. Number 2. Kindness will be rewarded, whereas selfishness will not. Or you can say, always be kind no matter what. Cinderella's kindness allows her to be selfless, to remain grateful, and to appreciate others. Number 3. Believe in yourself. Despite her tough circumstances and her difficult stepfamily, she still chooses to be kind and brave, to persevere and remain steadfast in trying to change and take charge of her life. Number 4. Never stop dreaming. She believes that circumstances can change, and she doesn't give up on her dreams. So, when she actually has the opportunity to change certain moments, she already prepared to embrace them. Then, this is the exercise that you can do to see if you are really understand or not about this material. This is sources from where I get the information and material for my video presentation today. That's all my presentation about narrative text material. Thank you for your attention. I hope that this presentation is useful for all of you. God bless you.